WUSA 9 Weather Impact Alert is sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
All right, good evening. I'm WUSA 9 meteorologist Topper Shutt.
And I'm meteorologist Kaitlyn McGrath, and we've got an active radar going on behind us.
We do, and you know, if you're fortunate enough to be home now, inside the Beltway, you got lucky. But if you're west of town and haven't been home yet, maybe get home late tonight, it's going to get a little crazy. So a couple things before we get started. We'll take you through radar and futurecast. We do have a weather impact alert.
Yes.
Okay, and we issue these weather impact alert if it satisfies one or more of these criteria. Nuisance weather, check. Life-threatening weather, check. And if it's a dynamic and changing forecast, also check. So in this case, it satisfied all three because it could be life-threatening with damaging winds.
Yeah, damaging wind really is kind of the biggest concern as these storms continue to develop. But we talked about it earlier. You know, today really had a summer storm feel to it. We tied our record high temperature at Reagan National up to 85 degrees. Now, we don't have all of the elements in place that we typically look for on a big severe weather day, but enough that some of these storms could pack a little punch.
Yeah, and by that we mean damaging winds and also some pretty heavy downpours. I'm going to show you some radar because Frederick's been hit twice with storms and no damage reports, but heavy rainfall. So, all right, let's start. Ready?
Let's do it.
Let's go to the radar. So this is the past couple of hours, and we've been watching this really for the last few hours. And again, individual cells, okay, are moving northeast. This whole line is very slowly moving east. But again, if you're home inside the Beltway, you're fine. There was one little rogue storm that popped up in parts of eastern Fairfax County, went across the district, and then just sort of collapsed. Other than that, everything has been to the west of us. In fact, you look carefully here. There it is right there. Boom. Then it just collapses and went south of Baltimore. So these storms are essentially, the biggest threat right now is heavy rainfall. So we'll kind of stop this. This is now about a minute old. So we see pretty good storms again around Frederick, and then back down toward Leesburg, and then across 66 back down toward Culpeper. And Kaitlyn and I we want to watch these storms off to the south and west and see if they perk up a little bit. Yeah, hard to believe we're 85 today. That's like June 12th. But we don't have quite all the ingredients necessary for a complete, widespread outbreak. We're still concerned about damaging winds and heavy downpours, but we're less concerned about a widespread outbreak. So we'll zoom in. So here we go. If you're going out 66, once you get past Manassas, there's some heavy rain, okay, on your way to Front Royal. Pretty good storms have been consistent in through Loudoun County, especially from Upperville and then back over toward Berryville and also Waterford. Up toward Percival, pretty good storm as well. Rainfall rates right here, about 1.5 inches per hour. So they're hefty. I mean, I've done some scanning. I don't see any hail. And right now we don't see any rotation of anything. These storms kind of extend up to Percival and over down toward Leesburg around 15. So again, we're looking at rainfall rates, right around Howardsville, right there about 1 inch per hour. Upperville about 3/4 inch per hour, and just south of Frogtown about 1 inch per hour. Okay, we'll zoom a little further out. So now we've got Lovettsville and Brunswick with some decent, downpours right now. Again, no hail. A break in Buckeysville, but this storm will get you because all these are going to move northeastward. We've kind of seen these storms hit Frederick a couple times. Looks like Luckett's and even Leesburg probably hit 2 times. And over into Damascus. Now we see some storms over into upper Montgomery County at this hour. And that's a pretty hefty storm. It's on the east side of 270 right now. So again, nothing widespread, but these are pretty hefty storms, and they deserve, to just keep an eye on, okay? We'll zoom in a little bit. This is around Morrisonville and Lovettsville, and right in this area, we have rainfall rates 1/2 inch to 1.25 inches per hour. Rainfall rates now north of 70, and now pulling out of Frederick, rainfall rates there right around 26 here, about 1.25 inches, almost 1.5 inches per hour. We'll kind of zoom in. North Market Street had some moderate rain just about 4 minutes before we came on the air streaming. It has some rain, but the heaviest activity is now pushed across Gas House Pike right now, and essentially north of 70. It's still raining on 70. You got folks trying to get home between Baltimore and Frederick. It's still raining, but the heavier activity is now north of town. We'll zoom back out. I want to show you this. This is 24-hour rainfall. What should jump out at you? A couple things. Most of the rain has been west of town, okay, except for that little rogue storm that popped in here. But that's what really should pop out at you. Look at the blue. Frederick's been hit a couple times with storms, and we've got some pretty significant rainfall, over 2 inches just north of Frederick, not far from Walkersville, and then kind of across over toward Brunswick and down toward 340 and 67. So that's where the storms have not been training, but they've been, most frequent. You get a storm, dies out, another storm replaces it. So we'll watch this area over the next few hours, make sure we don't have any reports of flooding. Right now we don't. Okay, so futurecast, where do the storms go? By 7 o'clock, futurecast has a pretty good line of storms, again from Frederick, back down through Front Royal. See the red? Those are going to be your heaviest storms. The temperature is still in the 60s and 70s. By 8 o'clock, kind of slows the eastward movement a little bit, but now it has a line sort of north-south from Frederick, Maryland, down toward Fredericksburg, Virginia. And you see lots of embedded area, little flecks of red and also orange. And those are your heavier storms, okay? Those are the heavier storms on the legend. That's at 8 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, now we'd be concerned about severe weather in southern Maryland. Calvert County, St. Mary's County, even southern Prince George's County and Charles County. That's where the possible problems could be. There's still going to be some pretty good showers and downpours west, but it's not going to be severe. Winds have already turned northwest. See the winds here turning northwest? So rain, yes, and we need the rain, but severe, no. By 10 o'clock, big stuff across the bay, and now we still have some rain back to Hagerstown and Frederick, but now we have upper 50s too, so much cooler air is moving back in here after, as Kaitlyn mentioned, our high of 85 at National. Now, by morning, well, April's going to come in like March because it's going to be in the 30s. These numbers are a little bit low. Think mid-40s downtown and mid-30s in the burbs. So that's warranting a jacket for the kids, at least at the bus stop, right? By 9 o'clock, we're in the 30s to mid-40s. I would say mainly 40s by 9 o'clock, and then in the 50s by 1 o'clock. But notice the arrows here. So pretty strong winds. Winds are going to gust 25 to 30 in the morning on Tuesday. And even in the afternoon, still gust 10 to 15, 10 to 20 early in the afternoon. So these 50s aren't going to feel that great, especially coming off we've had 3 consecutive days, 80 or higher. 58 at 6 o'clock, 54 in Hagerstown, 60 in Fredericksburg. Tomorrow night, walking the dog, temperatures fall pretty quickly. 40s downtown, 42 in Gaithersburg, 39 in Hagerstown, and 39 in Cumberland. That's a little chilly. So let's graph this out. Once we get rid of the storms tonight, we are clear tomorrow, okay? Upper 40s, and then we get into the 50s around lunchtime. So kind of a chilly day to take lunch outside. Even going to get lunch, it's going to be a little chilly. Temperatures in the 50s, and the winds still gusting. Again, 15 to 20 in the morning, 10 to 15 in the afternoon through the evening hours. So yes, it's April 1st, but it's going to feel more like March. Now, let's throw it over to meteorologist Kaitlyn McGrath. And Chef, you're going to go through some of the threats from these storms tonight.
Yes, that's exactly right, Topper, and the likelihood of seeing any of these threats. But let's start with the details of that weather impact alert. It goes until 11 o'clock tonight. Really, now until 11 is, like Topper just showed you, when we'll see these showers and storms moving through. But overall, the risk for severe weather is on the lower side. We'll get more into why in just a minute, but some of these storms could become strong, and regardless, you're going to see some of that heavy rain, likely some thunder and lightning, and possibly some damaging wind as well. So if you don't have it already, we say this every time we get weather, it's a great idea to have our WUSA9 app. Not only can you use our interactive radar to track where the storms are in relation to where you are, but you'll also get alerts sent straight to your phone if a storm were to become severe. And of course, like Topper just mentioned, you can plan on some slow driving conditions here over the next several hours. We know it doesn't take much to really slow folks down. So here's a look at the severe weather threat really across the eastern seaboard today. That's where the biggest threat is across the country, and this powerful line of storms has been wreaking havoc through so much of the country over the past several days. Tonight, it's the East Coast turn. So we do have the greatest threat for severe weather down into the Carolinas, down through Georgia, where you see that deeper shading of orange. That's a level 3 out of 5 risk from the Storm Prediction Center. And anytime you see that, that's a pretty solid lock that you're going to see severe weather. And they have. They've seen severe thunderstorm warnings, even a few tornado warnings throughout the evening. But closer to home, you see that shading of yellow that encompasses our area. That's a level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather. So certainly something worth monitoring, but not a lock by any means. I just checked, and the Storm Prediction Center still only has us under a 40% chance of seeing a severe thunderstorm watch this evening. There's just not a whole lot lining up in terms of a really juicy severe weather threat. In fact, this is what we refer to as storm energy. It's our CAPE, convective available potential energy. It basically tells us how much instability we have to work with when it comes to thunderstorm develop. And we typically see those stronger storms when you have a lot of instability in the atmosphere. But we're still relatively stable. Yes, we got up to 85 degrees today, but dew points are relatively low. We just don't have all of those ingredients in place to line up for a more significant severe weather day. That being said, you can see we still have a little bit of instability as we head throughout the next couple of hours, but shortly after the sun goes down, the atmosphere continues to stabilize. Now, that's not to say we couldn't see a strong or severe storm, because this is really only one measurement that we look for. We still have a lot of wind, a lot of dynamic wind, especially well above our heads, and that could mix down and give us some of those stronger wind gusts that could get up to severe thunderstorm warning criteria, gusting between 50 and possibly 60 miles per hour. But then by later this evening, we really kind of calm things down a little bit in the atmosphere. So by 10 o'clock, we will be left with some rain on radar, but the storm threat really will be diminishing. Now, in terms of what we're watching, in terms of our storm threats, we're seeing a lot of lightning on the map. No big surprise there. So don't be surprised if you hear some thunder or see lightning. Not everyone gets a thunderstorm, but we will continue to see a number of embedded storms here as we head throughout the evening. Damaging winds still very much a possibility. I do think if we see winds get up to that damaging criteria, they would top off probably around 50 to 60 miles per hour. We've seen a few gusty winds so far in some of these thunderstorms, but nothing up to severe criteria. But the chance for any downed trees or downed power lines is low. So as a precaution, you could keep your devices charged, but not expecting any widespread power or wind damage issues. Hail is getting increasingly likely as the evening goes on. These storms are relatively low topped. They're not going super high up into the atmosphere to get that hail development, and tornadoes is still a low threat. The greater risk for tornadoes is off to our south. Could be as close to our area as southeastern Virginia, but overall a really relatively low risk for tornadoes, and flooding is also pretty unlikely. Again, we just don't have a ton of moisture in the atmosphere. Dew points are still relatively low. So despite getting quite a good drink of water when all is said and done, the risk for flooding is low. If we were to see any kind of flooding, it would be that urban street flooding areas where we just have poor drainage, because where some of these bigger storms develop, we could walk away with closer to an inch of rain. You can see more rain once you get over the bay, over toward Chestertown and Cambridge. Could get over an inch, possibly an inch and a half of rain, but most of our region will walk away with between 3/4 of an inch, maybe up to an inch of rain when all is said and done. But you know what? We're going to take every drop we can get, because we still have ongoing severe drought conditions. In fact, with our updated drought monitor last week, it gets updated every Thursday. The severe drought conditions were expanded to include pretty much all of Loudoun County, all of Frederick County, parts of Washington County, and even into parts of West Virginia as well. That extends up the 95 corridor into parts of Baltimore, southeastern Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. Even parts of New Jersey have that extreme ongoing drought. So the farther south and west you go in our area, the better the drought conditions are. It is still considered a moderate drought from Winchester down into parts of Fauquier and Prince William County and far southern Maryland, and areas highlighted there in yellow. That includes parts of Front Royal, Luray, Culpeper, and Fredericksburg. That's where it's just considered abnormally dry. Now, this isn't our only chance to see some storms. We are going to catch a bit of a break for Tuesday into Wednesday. In fact, it looks quite nice both days with, yes, cooler temperatures. Will stay in the low 60s, but still looks pretty nice with tons of sunshine. And mind you, low 60s is where we should be as we start the month of April. It's just going to feel so much cooler, like Topper mentioned, coming off of 3 days in the 80s. Now, by the time we get to Thursday, Thursday, far from a washout of a day, but we will see some scattered showers and possibly some more thunderstorms once again in the afternoon and evening. And with that, temperatures are once again back in the low 80s. So we've got warmer weather back on the horizon. It's just going to be briefly cooler for Tuesday into Wednesday. And then as we look ahead to the weekend, end of the weekend, we do have more rain chances on the way. But again, no day is particularly wet. Friday and Saturday, it'll be kind of similar. Those afternoon showers and possibly a few thunderstorms. Sunday looks like I'll call it the least nice day. It still doesn't look particularly wet, but we will see some showers and otherwise cloudy conditions. But otherwise, we will still see some sunshine here over the next several days. But Topper, is just kind of a sign of the season, right? Spring is here, and we are seeing these spring showers and thunderstorms as a result.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little crazy. We're still, it's come out of March. I guess what's kind of nice is March came in like a lamb. It's gone out like a lamb.
Yeah.
I'd prefer a lion one of those times.
I prefer a lion the first half of March.
The first half, okay.
Yeah, give us some snow.
Yeah, well, we couldn't get any snow. So anyway, in terms of the storms, just check with the Severe Storms Prediction Center. There's a chance we could get a watch, essentially D.C. south into southern Maryland. It seems unlikely we're going to see a severe thunderstorm watch for places like Montgomery County and Frederick County and Loudoun County and Fairfax. So we'll keep you posted. That said, these are still some, pretty heavy storms, okay? So, this is radar past couple of hours, and we're still looking at a fair amount of, red and orange on this. So this is a pretty good line of storms. Certainly for March 31st, it's a good line of storms. There's that one rogue storm. Watch this. Right there. Boom. That just popped up in the afternoon and then just collapsed again. So this is essentially the main event. But you'll notice it's getting a little closer, moving a little further east, slowly. Yes, individual cells are moving off to the north and east about 30, but we're seeing some eastward progression as the cold front approaches the metro. So in terms of, we'll kind of zoom in a little bit on these storms. So this is over the last 2 hours. We'll kind of move it again to the most recent hour. Chef, hit the space bar just once for me, and we'll show you where the storms are now. This storm, this image is about a minute old. So now here we are, Leesburg, heavy rain back toward Warrenton across I-66, and now we see some more storms developing along I-70, kind of between Baltimore and Frederick, but the lion's share of that heavy activity is north. However, if you look at this is all going to move northeastward. So if you're around I-70 and you're getting hit now, you'll probably hit again in the next hour as this begins to move off to the north and the east. So just sort of keep that in mind. Again, there's no warnings on these storms, okay? So that's good. But they're still heavy storms. Rainfall rates 1 to maybe 2 inches per hour. Chef, hit the space bar again, and maybe it will trigger itself this time. So we'll zoom in. Okay, here we go. We'll kind of follow these storms along I-70 over toward Mount Airy, and boom, back along over toward Frederick, up 70 as you go toward Myersville. Those are hefty. Rainfall rates around 1 inch per hour. We'll zoom back. This is a pretty solid area of storms from Leesburg down to Aldie on 50. As you go out 50 toward Upperville, past Middleburg, heavy rain, even down toward Marshall. As you drop down Marshall toward 66. That's a pretty big area of heavy rainfall with the storms. Again, we don't see any hail, and we certainly don't see any rotation with these storms. We'll zoom in a little bit, and we'll kind of look at the heavy rain toward Hughesville, Percival, our friend Sue out in Round Hill, getting some pretty good rain as you go way out 7. And there's our friends in Waterford also getting some pretty heavy rain north of 9. We'll zoom into Leesburg proper, and it's not as heavy as it was, but there's West Market Street, and there's Edwards Ferry Road as you come in from Maryland. It still has some moderate rainfall. But notice down towards 7, gets a little deeper color. It's just updated. See that move northward? So this is going to move northward, and more heavy rain is going to roll through Leesburg. So you are not done yet by any means. Let's go way south and west, down toward Warrenton, Emmetsville, and down toward Culpeper. These are not firing, quite frankly, like we thought they might, which is good. Okay, they're heavy. Rainfall rates, yeah, anywhere from 3/4. You get into these deeper reds, over 1 inch per hour. So this is going to hammer Warrenton with some heavy rain in the next 15 minutes. But in terms of rainfall, you can clearly see where the heaviest rain is set up. Just a little piece of Loudoun County, then mostly into Frederick County and up into Westminster. That's the blue. Very little in the metro and very little outside of that. this is going to change. Check back at 11 o'clock. A lot of areas are going to have over 2 inches with this. And we need the rain. Kaitlyn showed the drought monitor. We need the rain. 2.5 inches just north of Frederick. And over 2 inches in blue down here north of Brunswick off of 67. And it kind of dovetails back northeastward up in to Carroll County. So that's pretty, that's the heaviest rainfall we've seen so far with this system. It'll change as it moves through by midnight. Okay, lightning. A little bit of lightning out to the west. We'll watch that too. Again, oftentimes more lightning strikes equals a stronger, more intense storm. And also some lightning up toward Baltimore, just north of Baltimore, up 83. So let me zoom out, because this system had a history of producing a lot of damage in terms of hail and flooding. And these are wind gusts here. So we take you back into West Virginia, and then a lot of Kentucky, a lot of the southern one half of Ohio, and also the southern part of Indiana, around, south of Annapolis. So again, each of these are high wind gusts. This icon is flooding. So I'll just highlight a couple. So this is down in Kentucky. Wind gust 51 miles per hour. So this was earlier this morning. So about 15 hours ago. We'll zoom in again around Louisville. Wind gust 52 miles per hour. That was last night at about 10:42 Eastern time. And we'll go north a little bit, a little further up toward Indianapolis, and we've got winds 52 miles per hour. So they've had a history. This whole system's had a history of producing severe weather. Now, where is it going? 8 o'clock tonight, we see a pretty solid line of showers and storms developing, and we don't disagree with that. I just think they're going to be heavy and not so much severe. Again, the only exception would be as they cross over into southern Maryland. A little concerned about that. Temps by then, 8 o'clock, in the 60s. By 8:30, see that? That could be, not necessarily tornadic, but it could be severe. As we get over into Charles County and southern Charles County and St. Mary's County and Calvert County, and this is at 8:30 tonight. There's still going to be some storms back to the west. These should not be severe. These are the ones we have to worry about. But by 8:30, it's raining or showering or storming just about everywhere. By 10 o'clock, see the deep reds? They're now across the bay. So the severe weather threat will be over by 10 o'clock. Yes, we still have some showers, in the areas of yellow, some moderate showers back toward Gaithersburg, and even some light showers, Hagerstown, over toward Martinsburg. Temps in the 60s now. By 11:30, most of anything consequential is across the bay. Leftover showers, see in green. Okay, that's light. So we have some light showers in Prince George's County, Anne Arundel County, down in Charles County, and still some leftover, moderate downpours into southern Maryland. But by midnight, you guys down there are going to be out of the woods in terms of severe weather. Tomorrow morning, boom, we are, we're back in the 30s and 40s. We're 40s by 9 o'clock. Notice the arrows, pretty strong winds. Temperatures around 50. And with the winds, really won't feel like it. Tomorrow's going to feel like a March day. And we had our share of wind in March, didn't we? By 6 p.m. tomorrow, temperatures mid to upper 50s, clear skies. Winds will taper off a little bit through the afternoon and evening. And then by tomorrow night, notice the winds are now northeast. And temperatures chilly. Walking the dog tomorrow night, it's going to be in the 30s and 40s. So let's graph out Tuesday. 40s to start, mainly in the 50s. I think we'll hit 60 downtown, 50s in the burbs. And the winds will certainly be a factor in the morning, like gusting 25 to 30. Then they're gusting 10 to 20 around noon, and then they're gusting 10 to 15 as we go through the remainder of Tuesday. In fact, here's the wind gust forecast. So we are looking at winds gust, these are miles per hour, and it's a forecast, snapshot in time. Winds could gust 25 to 30. This is early tomorrow morning at 6:30. Maybe a 29 mile per hour wind gust down to Leesburg, and even 20 mile per hour wind gust down toward Fredericksburg. So yes, that's, it's going to make it feel a lot colder than it is. By 10 o'clock, winds are still gusting 25 to 30, kind of Front Royal to Leesburg, back to Winchester. And then by, say, 1 o'clock, now we see it improving a little bit. I mean, winds are now gusting 15 to 20. And then we go through the rest of the afternoon and evening. Now it's just sort of a breeze, 10 to 15. But that breeze is going to make it feel a lot cooler than it is. Again, it's going to feel like like March tomorrow, even though it's April Fool's. So here we go. 62 tomorrow, sunshine. Partly cloudy on Wednesday. A few more clouds on Wednesday, 63. Boom. We go back to 80 on Thursday with some showers and even a few thunderstorms. So won't be a washout day, but there'll be a few showers and storms on Thursday. Then you know what? We stay warm Friday and Saturday. Sort of the same forecast. A few scattered showers and storms possible, not washout days. And then Sunday, the front goes through. As now we just have some 60s and temperatures back to average, but it's going to seem really cool with some rain and showers. And then by next Monday, we're back to 63 with sunshine, which is average. And then that's in town Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So once we get through the next 4 hours or so, we're going to be in pretty good shape. But we still have a fair amount of showers and storms to go through. And for more on that, I'm going to throw it over to my colleague over there, meteorologist Kaitlyn McGrath. Chef, are we talking some more showers to the west? And these are getting closer to us. I mean, they're almost to Fairfax County right now.
Yeah, they certainly are, Topper. We're seeing a lot of that thunder and lightning embedded in that more organized line of storms that, like we've been talking about, is moving ahead of a cold front. So even if you haven't seen a storm quite yet, be ready, because these storms are moving in pretty quickly here. And where they're developing, they're producing some moderate to occasionally heavy rain with a lot of that thunder and lightning. So we'll give you a look at what we've got going on with radar here and show you where you can expect the heaviest storms as we head through the next couple of hours. Again, this is radar on a 3-hour loop, and you can see those storms continuing to chug east. We've been tracking them on radar since about 3 o'clock this afternoon. I'll put the pause here on radar and kind of walk you through where we're seeing more of that vivid thunder and lightning. That's really the biggest thing we're noticing in these storms right now, in addition to, of course, that moderate to occasionally heavy rain, that much needed rain. And these storms, they're not moving all too quickly. So let's start off with what we've got going on in parts of northern Maryland, parts of Montgomery County, over into Frederick County. You can see Germantown right along 270, seeing some of that heavier, steadier rain, some thunder and lightning over by Tuscarora as well. Looks like Frederick is finally catching a little bit of a break after seeing a couple different rounds of storms earlier this afternoon. Not much going on right now, just a little bit of that moderate to occasionally heavy rain. We'll see if we can't take you down and show you what's going on into parts of Loudoun County. There you can see Leesburg seeing some moderate to heavy rain, some thunder and lightning just off to the north and west from Tuscarora down into Purcellville. Upperville also seeing some thunder and lightning in addition to that really heavy rain. You can see that latest radar scan kind of bumping it east just a little bit down into Marshall and Warrenton. Some heavy rain, thunder and lightning. Haven't seen much in terms of wind, but like Topper just showed you, wind will pick up kind of as this cold front continues to move through. We've got heavy rain along 15 and 17 down into parts of Midland, also seeing some of those heavier downpours. So I would say give it another hour to 2 hours. These storms are going to be moving close to and then east of the 95 corridor before all is said and done later this evening. And this is that wider perspective. Again, we talked about the severe thunderstorm warnings that we're seeing down into parts of the Carolinas. We've got one right around Raleigh and down into South Carolina by Charleston. Charleston actually released school early today because of the storm threat. They didn't want the kids trying to get home during these storms. But that is where we have the greater threat of severe weather. Closer to home, it is relatively low, like Topper mentioned. We do still have about a 40% chance we see a severe thunderstorm watch issued for areas around D.C. and points south. That's where we do have the greatest potential to see some of that damaging wind, maybe even some small hail still on the table as we head throughout this evening. So the weather impact alert continues until 11 o'clock tonight. Biggest threat and biggest concern if a storm were to become severe would be that strong wind threat. So always a good idea to have our WUSA 9 app handy. Not only can you use interactive radar to track the rain and the storms as they move through your area, but if a storm becomes severe, you'll get an alert sent straight to your phone. So here's that biggest severe weather threat we were just talking about down into parts of the Carolinas and Georgia. Closer to home, we are still closely monitoring the potential for some severe weather, but as we continue to head into the evening, that risk is really going to kind of wane. So right now, level 2 out of 5 risk for severe weather, but as we head throughout the evening, the atmosphere will kind of stabilize. We won't see nearly as big of a threat, but we're going to be keeping a close eye on these storms as they continue to move through. Again, biggest thing to do is just stay home if you can. It's not like it's going to be a whole lot of rain, but it is enough that it can make for some treacherous travel, especially where we see some of those heavier downpours develop.
So all in all, I mean, some good news. We haven't seen any warnings yet.
Yeah.
No storm reports in the metro, but except for some heavy downpours. And as you mentioned, we need the rainfall.
We do need the rainfall, and we've got more later this week. So
yep.
I was going to say,
go.
even if you miss out on the rain, you'll get some more, but everyone's going to get the rain tonight.
I think so. And then tomorrow, it's going to be a shock. 85 today, 62 tomorrow. Oh, my goodness. Miss Foster's going to have some words with me about that.
It's going to be chilly.
Yeah, low 60s on Wednesday, but then the weekend, a little bit different.
We're going to see some more storms move in, but no day really is a washout. Like, these are your typical kind of spring, summer, afternoon, evening storms. We'll start off with a little bit of sunshine. Sunday is the day that's looking a little, we'll say, crummier. We've got more clouds around, a few showers, so I would make your outdoor plans for Saturday.
All right, so there's a possibility we will come back on the air at 8 o'clock for streaming. Whether it'll dictate if it's going to be bad or not. If not, we'll have an update for you tonight at 11. But thanks for joining us for our streaming cast.